Going over the Chetco boulder up the south fork of the Chetco River. This was discovered by Mr. Bond while he was out hunting. And Gustavo and myself have been the ones that have, as of yet, gone out and done some rough trail work and some scouting. So far we found some dens, I want to say, of some sort of animal, hopefully not a predator. And we figured out some great routes. There's definitely some lines in here that I'm excited to get to. Right now we're looking between the Independent Rock, which is out here on the left, and the Mountain Rock, which is the one on the right, the mossy one. Down there in between is a beautiful spot. You can see it get some sunlight. It's not the easiest place to get to, but I did set some ropes just at the bottom of the screen, out of the screen that you can't see. Now looping around the Independent Rock, we're not going to get much of a view of the overhang yet, but you can see it down there in the bottom right now. But yeah, there's the Independent Rock, and on the left we have the Beginner's Rock. So we've seen 3 of the big rocks so far. This Beginner's Rock is split from the Mountain Rock on the other side of the Independent Rock. There's a pretty sweet crack between the Beginner's Rock and the Independent Rock here. That mossy one on the left is the Beginner's one I'm talking about. And the start of that is actually lower than what we can see here on the screen. And that's where I'm drone piloting from, just down there. We'll be able to see me in a minute here, but right now we're taking a look at where you can get up in between these 2 rocks, right where that little tiny tree is, where you can see the split and these big stones are. And you can see the red line that I put up. Yep, you can see the red rope there. Now it's out of scene. The Beginner's Rock has a lot of cavitation in it, as does some of these other stones. I think it's more suitable because it's so negative. It's not as positive as the interior between the Mountain Rock and the Independent Rock, which we'll be going over in just a moment as the drone flies. All of this was drone scouting. I wasn't trying to make a movie or anything, so if there's a lack of cinematography, it's because I suck at filming and I was not trying to. And of course these cavitations, I'm not sure how deep all of these go. They're filled with tree trash, needles, and sticks. Now we're taking a look at where I'm at. You can see me down there in the center left, and I'm going to stare at the screen for a second before I realize I should probably turn wave, and wave inbound, and wave. Sup, fool? Anyways, you can see kind of from this angle there's quite a few cracks on the beginner stone there. There's a lot of potential routes. That moss is thick and comes off like a 70s carpet that's been tread on way too much. There's some light foliage, mid to light foliage up there at the top. It's generally easy to get around. I need to figure out a trail that goes up the side of it instead of going right through the center of all of these stones. It is not easy, and you're winded. I mean, I'm winded. You might not be winded, whoever's watching this. Right now, if I just kept going, man. If I just kept going, I would have gotten a great shot of the overhanging rock on the other side of Mountain Rock. Now we're taking a great look right down between Independent Rock and Mountain Rock, and then off to the left, Beginner Rock. This is the central trifecta of all rocks. And right there on the top left, now the center, and now the top right. That is the first den that Gustavo and I stumbled across, and oh my gosh, I was crapping my pants. I swore there was something in there, because there's something in there. I just swore it was going to be big. I was like, this thing is going to be huge, because there's a big space in there, and there's clear traffic, like any little plants near the entrance of that thing are all dead because it's been stepped on so much. And the pieces of missing moss are like paw size. So something was parkouring up the side of this rock, and they were all paw size marks. And so I was like, definitely cougar. Of course, I don't know jack squat about tracking or animal prints, so everything, even if it's a squirrel print, is a cougar print. But yeah, look at that. Right there on the top right, you can see that overhang, and it's gone. There it is again. That overhang, and then just below that overhang to the left a little bit where it's all dark, that is another den. And I got up there the other day and I was chucking rocks into it. You could hear them tumbling down further. And so I know it's relatively deep. I'm not sure which one of these has a predator or if there is a predator in this neighborhood. But something is there, and whether it's a squirrel or a frickin' bear, I do not want to run into it. I just don't have the nerve for that. And that's a hard approach, too. That there on the upper right, that overhanging one on the upper right, is a good angle of the independent rock. You can see that beautiful roof down there on the bottom right now. And, of course, we have this tree directly in front on the west face of this independent rock that blocks all the potential views of any routes there. Of course, there are some routes. It's all going to be very crimpy. But yeah, you can now see back behind that tree that blocks everything. It's quite positive, and then it kind of levels out. Here on the broad nose of this independent rock, just above the roof that we're getting a view of now, it turns into quite the slope, a crimping slope, and then I'm sure when you get up to that mossy section, it's just walkable up to the point, the pinnacle peak top. Look at that beautiful roof. It's almost flat there too. It's pretty dang roof-like. And that is the photo that Bond got when he was driving by. He just barely could see that roof through the trees and none of the rest of the rock. Absolutely beautiful stone. And it's such a good view from there looking out. There are sections where you can see the river, the South Fork of the Chetco River. It's very beautiful. I'm so excited about this whole project in general. Yeah, beautiful area, beautiful crag. I just have so much energy and motivation for this area. Just have so much to look forward to here. And there's a lot that's not been caught in this footage. You have you might have a good idea, but I have a relatively hard time measuring the size of this when we're so high up with this footage. But when you're down there, you look up and it feels like forever of wall, just wall going on and on. I mean, it's nothing like Yosemite, but this is as close as we're going to get near Brookings. And look at that. You can see those beautiful three stones. The one on the far left being the independent rock, the central one being mountain rock, and the right one being the overhang. Now the far left is that cracked beginner rock. Of course, these are just temporary names. Someone's going to come up with something cool or really stupid that's going to make people laugh. Such is the naming of crags. Absolutely gorgeous. A lot of trail work that needs to be done. I think that's the big thing. There's a lot of fun stuff like rappelling and setting those initial anchors, which we're still waiting on for them to come in the mail. Here's a nice closer view of that overhang rock that's on the far right. And it's relatively easy to stand up there, although it's kind of intimidating because, one slip and that's it. And there it is. There's a little veil of moss and greenery in front of that den in there, but then it just keeps going in. And that's not a party you want to crash. I mean, you might. I don't want to do it. I'm not about to go full Talladega Nights on this thing. Then getting back in there into the interior of the independent rock and mountain rock. You can start to see some of that positivity on independent rock. Definitely finger strength and more finger strength. And if anything's going to happen on there, it's finger strength. You can see here on the left there's a bit of a crack line going up there on the broad nose of the independent rock. And here we're just swooping around. You can kind of get an idea of the general atmosphere. This is somewhat of a buttress sticking out of a hillside. And got the beautiful river right close by. Absolutely gorgeous area. You can see some of the dens and caves, and sure enough, on that cliffside above that little white tree to the right, there's another hole going straight into the rock. That's another little cave formation. And that's it. Stay tuned for our progress.